What if we told you there's a country where you can eat some of the best food in the world for just a few dollars, wake up to a gorgeous view of the misty mountains one day, ride along the most dangerous loops in Southeast Asia the next, have one of the most delicious, addicting coffees in the world, and end it all to see lanterns light up in a majestic city in one single trip? All of that and more is what Vietnam offers. My name is RJ and this is my wife Jasmina, and we've both been to Vietnam multiple times, so we thought it's time to drop some knowledge to help you plan your trip to this country better. In this ultimate travel guide, we're gonna walk you through everything you need to know before visiting, from visas and money tips to the best time to go, how to get around, what to eat, and the must-see places you absolutely cannot miss. At the end of this video, you will completely understand and have the confidence to travel in the country, whether you're actively planning a trip or just adding Vietnam to your bucket list. This video is for you. By the way, we also have made a 30-day itinerary for Vietnam in another video, so we'll link that up above, so make sure you check that out after this video. Also, we'd appreciate it if you take the second to like this video and consider subscribing to our channel for more travel content like these. And without further ado, let's get right into the video. First, I just want to give a quick video overview. We'll start with a quick introduction to Vietnam and share a few fun travel facts to get you pumped up for the trip. Then we'll cover visas and entry requirements, break down the money situation and how to pay for things, and help you figure out the best time to visit depending on your travel style.
After that, we'll talk about transportation, dive into the food scene, and then take you to the top places to visit across the country, including what to do in each destination and why it's worth your time. And finally, we'll wrap things up with some practical travel tips to make your trip smoother and more enjoyable. Vietnam is a long, narrow country in Southeast Asia that stretches over 1,600 kilometers from north to south, which means the experience can feel completely different depending on where you are. It's home to over 100 million people, and that energy is something you'll feel right away, especially in the cities where motorbikes fill the streets and move really fast. Vietnam is also one of the best food destinations in the world. Street food is a huge part of daily life here, and some of the best meals you'll have will come from small roadside stalls. Here's a fun fact for you. Vietnam is actually the second largest coffee producer in the world, and their coffee culture is on a completely other level. From strong iced coffee with condensed milk to unique drinks like egg coffee, it's something you have to experience, even if you're not a coffee drinker. And one thing you'll notice pretty quickly is crossing the streets can feel a little intimidating at first. It's like a video game, to be honest, but once you step out and move steadily, the traffic just flows around you. It's chaotic, but it works. It takes time getting used to it, but by day 11, I guarantee you'll be crossing the streets of Vietnam like a pro.
Now let's talk about getting into Vietnam. First and foremost, don't make the same mistake I made. Applying for your visa during the holidays, especially when you don't know when the immigration offices close, can be a brutal experience. So my suggestion is to take a look at any holidays in the country, or at least around the time you're thinking of applying for the visa. That way you're aware of any delays that may take place and adjust accordingly. Now for visa requirements, it depends on your nationality, but many travelers can enter visa-free for a number amount of days, mostly EU nationals, while others like Canadians will need to apply for an e-visa, unfortunately, before arriving and pay for the fees as well. The visa will set you back $25 US for a single entry, and for multiple entry, it'll be about $50 US. The e-visa process is usually pretty straightforward and simple and can allow stays of up to 90 days in many cases. Again, this depends on your nationality, but processing times usually takes anywhere between 3 to 5 working days or business days. You'll also want to make sure your passport is valid for at least 6 months beyond your travel dates, and it's always a good idea to double check the latest requirements before your trip, since rules can change often.
When it comes to money, the currency here is the Vietnamese dong, and the numbers can look a little wild at first. You'll be dealing with thousands and even millions for everyday purchases. It's a lot of zeros and will take time getting used to, but watch out for the bills you hand out and get back during a transaction just because they all look so similar. Other than that, Vietnam is still very much a cash-based country, especially when it comes to street food, markets, and smaller local spots. That being said, cards are accepted at hotels, nicer restaurants, and bigger businesses, especially in major cities. ATMs are very easy to find, so withdrawing cash once you arrive is usually no problem. A good approach is to carry cash for daily spending while keeping a card for larger purchases or as a backup. But I'd use cash more often than not because you usually will get better rates in the long run if you do.
Now let's talk about the different travel seasons and the best times to visit. Because Vietnam stretches so far from north to south, the weather can vary a lot depending on the region and the time of the year. Generally speaking, the best time to visit is between November and April, when temperatures are a bit more comfortable and there's less rain in many parts of the country. High season typically falls between December through March, which means better weather, but also more crowds and very inflated prices. Low season in Vietnam is between May to October, but it varies slightly depending on the region. This is when you'll see the most heat, humidity, and rainfall, especially in the south, where short but heavy tropical downpours are very common. But here's the thing, low season isn't all bad, and it's actually my favorite season, our favorite season to travel to, not just in Vietnam, but all over Southeast Asia. The rain usually doesn't last all day. It often comes in short bursts, but when it comes down real hard, and then it clears up again. What you get in return is fewer tourists, lower prices on hotels, accommodations, activities, food, and flights. It's also a more relaxed, less crowded experience overall. So yeah, worth the trade-off if you ask me. I mean, if you don't mind a bit of unpredictable weather, this can actually be one of the best times to visit, especially if you're traveling on a budget. Now for shoulder season, it's kind of the sweet spot. This typically falls around March to April, and again from October to early December. During these times, you'll often get a nice balance of decent weather without the peak crowds. It's not quite as busy or as expensive as high season, but you're also avoiding the heavy rains of low season. If you don't mind a bit of heat or occasional rain, traveling in the low season can actually be a great option with fewer tourists and better deals.
Getting around Vietnam is actually very easy and very affordable. If you're traveling long distances, domestic flights are usually the fastest option and can be very reasonably priced if you book in advance. And honestly, even if you do it last minute. But booking in advance is always the better option if you have the choice. Trains are another great option, especially if you want to enjoy the scenery along the coast. They're more comfortable than buses, but they do take longer. Overnight buses are popular with budget travelers because they're cheap and save you the cost for a hotel for the night. Although comfort can vary depending on the company, within cities you'll find taxis and ride-hailing apps almost everywhere. And motorbike taxis are also very common. You can rent a motorbike yourself, which is a very popular way to explore, but only do this if you're comfortable with busy traffic and actually know how to ride a motorbike. And finally, some of the best moments come from just walking around and taking everything in. So whenever possible, just walk, because you're guaranteed to see way more and find something that you may not have found if you were on a bike or a taxi.
Now, food is a huge part of the experience in Vietnam, and it's something you're going to remember long after your trip is done. I know food is definitely up there for us, and pho is probably one of the most famous dishes, and having it in Vietnam just hits differently. The broth is rich and flavorful, and it's often enjoyed as a breakfast dish by many locals. It's also very inexpensive and filling as well. This is definitely my personal favorite. The next one is Jasmina's favorite, and that is the banh mi.
Yeah.
Another must try, it's a perfect mix of French and Vietnamese influence with a crispy baguette filled with meats, pickled vegetables, and fresh herbs. It's quick, cheap, and incredibly satisfying. Next up is fresh spring rolls. They are light and refreshing, usually packed with shrimp, herbs, and noodles, and dipped in a rich peanut sauce. If you want something a little more filling, dishes like bun cha or bun chow bring bold flavors and textures that really show off Vietnamese cooking. Khao Lao is another dish, but it's more of a specialty dish in Hoi An. So if you do end up in Hoi An, Khao Lao is another must try. And then there's the coffee. There's all sorts of coffee in Vietnam, and Vietnamese iced coffee is one of them. It's strong, sweet, and seriously addictive. It's something you'll probably end up having every single day. So yeah, you've been warned. Another must try is the egg coffee. If you're in Hanoi, there is a place called Cafe Giang where egg coffee was originated from. So that's a must visit if you're in the city. Now overall, one of the best tips we can give you is to eat where the locals eat. If a place is busy and full of locals, that's usually a very good sign.
Starting in the south, Ho Chi Minh City is where a lot of travelers begin their Vietnam journey. And it's a city that never really slows down. It's busy, modern, and full of energy, but there's also a lot of history here. If it's your first time in Vietnam, this will be a culture shock for you. As far as the things to do here, visiting the War Remnants Museum gives you a powerful and eye-opening look into Vietnam's past, while the Cu Chi tunnels takes that even further by showing how people lived and survived during the war. At the same time, just walking around the city, exploring markets, trying street food, and checking out rooftop bars gives you a feel for how vibrant and fast-paced life is here.
And not too far away from the city, the Mekong Delta offers a completely different experience. Life here revolves around the river and everything moves at a much slower, more relaxed pace. Taking a boat through the narrow canals lets you see floating markets, local homes, and everyday life along the water. It's one of the best ways to experience a more traditional and rural side of Vietnam, and it feels completely different from the big city.
Heading slightly inland, Da Lat brings a totally different vibe because it's in the mountains, the weather is cooler, and the atmosphere feels way more relaxed. It's known for its scenery, waterfalls, and unique attractions. Visiting places like the Crazy House or exploring the nearby waterfalls gives you something a bit different from the rest of Vietnam. It's also a great spot for outdoor activities like canyoning or just enjoying the fresh mountain air.
And as you move into central Vietnam, Hoi An is easily one of the most memorable stops. The town has this incredibly charming and almost magical atmosphere, especially at night when hundreds of lanterns light up the streets and reflect on the river. Walking through Old Town feels like you're stepping back into time, and it's also the perfect place to get custom clothes made. You can also take a cooking class or head to the nearby beaches if you want a bit of relaxation.
And just up the coast, Da Nang offers a mix of city life and beach vibes. One of the highlights here is visiting the Golden Bridge, which is held up by massive stone hands and looks like something out of a movie. You also got long stretches of beach where you can just relax, and the marble mountains nearby give you the chance to explore caves, temples, and viewpoints all in one place.
And as we move a little further up north, Hue is all about history and culture. Exploring the imperial city gives you a real sense of Vietnam's royal past with massive gates, temples, and ancient architecture. Visiting the royal tombs along the Perfume River adds to that experience, and taking a boat ride along the river is a peaceful way to see it all. It's a quieter stop compared to the bigger cities, but it feels very rich in history.
Moving further north, Ninh Binh is often called Ha Long Bay on land, and once you get there, it's easy to see why. The landscape is filled with dramatic limestone mountains, surrounded by rivers and, of course, rice fields. Taking a boat ride through places like Tran Ang or Tam Kok lets you glide through caves and past incredible scenery. And climbing up to viewpoints like Hang Hoa gives you one of the best panoramic views in the country.
Next up is Hanoi, the capital city of Vietnam, where things get a bit more chaotic once again in the best way possible. The old quarter is the heart of the city, and walking through it is an experience on its own, with narrow streets packed with food stalls, shops, and motorbikes weaving through everything. It's one of the best places in the country to try street food and really immerse yourself in the local culture. Visiting Hoan Kiem Lake gives you a bit of calm in the middle of the city, and catching a traditional water puppet show is a unique cultural experience that's been around for many centuries.
From Hanoi, you can head out to Ha Long Bay, which is one of the most iconic places in all of Vietnam. Taking a cruise through the bay lets you fully experience the towering limestone islands rising out of the water. Kayaking through caves and hidden lagoons makes it even more immersive, and spending a night on the water, especially waking up to a sunrise surrounded by those views, is something you won't forget.
For something a bit more adventurous, the Ha Giang Loop in the far north is often considered one of the most epic experiences in Southeast Asia. This is hands down one of my favorite things I've ever done, not in the country, but in all of the Southeast Asia region. The Ha Giang Loop is a multi-day motorbike journey through dramatic mountain landscapes, winding roads, and remote villages. The views are absolutely incredible, and it gives you a chance to see a much more untouched and authentic side of Vietnam. It's not just about the destination, it's the entire journey that makes this activity so special.
And finally, if you continue further north, you'll reach Sapa, which feels like a completely different world. This region is known for its mountains and rice terraces that stretch across the hillsides. Trekking through the valleys and visiting local villages give you a deeper connection to the culture and landscape. And staying in a homestay makes the experience feel much more personal. It's peaceful, scenic, and one of the most unique parts of Vietnam. Before you go, there are a few things that will make your trip a whole lot easier. Getting a local SIM card is one of the best things you can do. It's cheap and makes navigating and booking things way more easier and convenient. We typically go with Saily eSIM because it's affordable, flexible, and very reliable. It's also a good idea to agree on prices beforehand when shopping in markets or taking taxis, just to avoid any confusion, and the better you are at bargaining, the better price you'll get. If you're traveling across different regions, pack for a mix of weather conditions since it can change quite a bit. The northern part tends to be a bit colder and you can see a bit more rain and the south, so keep that in mind. Travel insurance is also essential. We go with Safety Wing because they're inexpensive, simple to set up, very flexible, and making claims is a breeze. And most importantly, just embrace the chaos. Vietnam can feel overwhelming at first, but once you settle into it, it becomes a part of what makes the experience so special, and it will have you coming back over and over again.
Vietnam is one of those destinations that truly has it all. Stunning landscapes, rich culture, incredible food, and amazing value for money. Whether you're exploring busy cities, cruising through natural wonders, or relaxing by the beach, there's something here for every kind of traveler. We hope this guide helped you plan your trip better and gave you the confidence to experience everything Vietnam has to offer. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and follow along for more travel guides and adventures. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.